You're listening to Speaking Stellar Girl with Teri and an interview series that inspires women to live their most stellar life. Teri is the co-founder of the Stellar Girl movement, and she is sitting down with women all over the world to hear about the key moments in their lives and how they lived boldly, compassionately, and ultimately became a stellar girl.
Welcome to Speaking Stellar Girl. I'm your host, Teri, and I am thrilled to have Veronika Mudra joining me today. Veronika is a women's rights advocate, a Tedx women's speaker, and the founder and CEO of WhiteRibbon USA in the United States, a campaign against domestic violence towards women and girls. In 2013, she immigrated to the U.S. as a refugee under the Domestic Violence Protection Program, and since has initiated multiple public awareness campaigns in the U.S. against domestic violence towards women. In 2017, she also advocated in the Parliament of Ukraine for the criminalization of domestic violence. So we have so much to talk about, Veronika, and welcome. Привіт, добрий день. Jak sprawy?
Oh my God, thank you so much for having me at your talk show. And I really appreciate you speaking Ukrainian, and все добре, дякую. I know that you are from Canada, and it's so amazing because from one side there are so many Ukrainians in Canada. That's one of the largest diasporas of Ukrainians in the world. But from the other side, the WhiteRibbon movement was originated in Canada, and it comes from Canada, and it was founded in Toronto in Canada. So I'm like very thrilled to be at your talk show today.
Well, thank you so much. My great-grandparents immigrated from Ukraine, from Kyiv as well, as did you and your son. So we can dive into that, but I need to practice my Ukrainian, so I appreciate you speaking.
You're doing great. You're doing great.
I know a few words. Дуже добре, до побачення. A few words here and there. But you also speak many languages as well.
I do speak Russian, Ukrainian, Hebrew, because I used to live in Israel myself. And I speak English and German and a little bit Italian. So
that's phenomenal. Well, you can get around just about everywhere with all those languages that you speak. But let's dive into your work with WhiteRibbon, because that is something that I feel that women are scared to talk about their public safety, about their personal safety. And tell me how you got involved in the organization.
So as you can see, I'm wearing a WhiteRibbon myself, and this is an international global symbol of activism against domestic violence towards women and girls. So WhiteRibbon was founded in 1991 in Toronto in Canada as a response of men against domestic violence towards women, because in 1989, as you know, there was a tragedy in Montreal University when 14 women were gunshot by a man with mental disorders, but his anger was caused by feminism, and he accused those women in being feminists. So after that tragedy happened, a group of men decided to be more vocal about it and organize a civic society movement called WhiteRibbon. And now, after 30 years, it got spread all over the world, and we have offices in more than 63 countries. So I am a domestic violence survivor myself, and I immigrated to the United States in 2012. At that moment, in Ukraine, domestic violence was not a criminal act, because there was no law that was recognizing domestic violence as a criminal act. Without a law there, I couldn't protect my basic human rights and basic human rights of my child. So I asked for asylum in the United States, and I was granted an asylum under Domestic Violence Protection Program.
And you and your son came to the United States in 2000. 2012 or 2013?
Yes.
And how old is your son?
Now he's 9 years old, and he was born in Israel in 2011. So at that time, he was very, very young. So basically, I was single mom, an immigrant, and I was just new in the country. It was extremely difficult. I had no idea how to protect my rights. I just knew that I couldn't tolerate the situation that I was experienced in Ukraine, that I experienced in Ukraine. I knew that I couldn't protect my basic rights, and I knew that I need to get away to find a better future for me and my child. So I was introduced to the WhiteRibbon by a friend of mine from Poland. She is a human rights activist, and she recommended me to get in touch with some international human rights protection organizations. And she offered me actually to take over WhiteRibbon organization in Ukraine, because she was living in Poland and she couldn't manage activity in both countries. So basically, it happened so that I took over the management of a WhiteRibbon nonprofit organization in Ukraine, and that's how I started to be involved with the WhiteRibbon.
And so you were back in Ukraine in 2017 in the parliament?
Yes. So I had to go back to Ukraine in order to protect my child from his violent father, who was trying to take him away from the United States of America back to Ukraine. And that was the moment when I got familiar with the international law that is called the Hague Convention, that was adopted 30 years ago in Hague and was never changed since. And this convention relates to international child custody disputes, but this convention does not recognize domestic violence as a grave risk to a child. And in any moment, a child can be taken away from caring mother to violent father. In 99%, that is the situation. So when we speak about violent parent, when we speak about the Hague Convention, unfortunately, the cases are at most when abusive fathers are trying to take children from caring mothers. So that's when I had to go back to Ukraine in order to make my story public and in order to keep my child in safety in the United States. And that's why I appealed to all members of parliament with my story. I was asking for help myself, and I came out public with my story, and that was the starting moment for the WhiteRibbon in Ukraine to be more widespread as well. And I wrote more than 800 letters to members of parliament, to president, to president's administration, to mayor of Kiev, Klitschko, to multiple governmental organizations asking for help, because I was already granted asylum in the United States, and my kid was like in danger of being taken away back to Ukraine. So I had to do it, and I just went there, made my story public. I became very vocal about it, because I know a lot of times domestic violence victims, especially women, afraid to be public and vocal about it.
Yes. That is
because very often we are afraid for our children.
Of course, you're afraid of
and that is the moment that stops a lot of women to come out publicly and to protect their rights, because they're afraid that the situation can be worse, that their kids can be taken away. And but I had no choice just to do it very public. And my initiative of WhiteRibbon in Ukraine was supported by all members of parliament. We also supported the new law that was voted same year in 2017. So according to new law, domestic violence is a crime in Ukraine. The law became effective only in 2019.
That is It is incredible that it's taken that long. Your story is commendable, extraordinary, and like most mothers, you will do anything for their children, and what you did for David. And I appreciate you telling us the story today. That is extraordinary. I would like to discuss a little bit also about you as a how did you get involved in the TEDx women speaking?
So I have a mentor. She's also a head of advisory board of the WhiteRibbon USA, Marina Masovetsky. She is originally from Slovenia, and she is a talent manager for more than 30 years in Hollywood. So she mostly represents talents, artists, models, singers who transfer into film industry.
Okay.
And when we met in LA, she just started to mentor me as a women's rights activist, and she basically was promoting me as a public speaker, and she just is helping me all the way through. And having such a powerful and knowledgeable woman in my team, I'm very grateful for it. So I was invited by Tedx Women in Italy due to her efforts, and she also helps me to communicate with media in the United States to get the WhiteRibbon story out there. And the speech that I gave in Italy, it was in Modena. In Modena, the audience was mostly male audience.
Okay.
Those are people who work in Ferrari and Maserati factories.
Really?
And Modena is known in the world as a place, as a motherland of Ferraris and Maseratis. So
Wow.
there are mostly men working at those facilities. And actually a man, Fabrizio, is a leader of Tedx in Modena, and I can tell that he's a feminist. So my speech about violence against women was very welcomed there, and I really appreciate this experience.
That's fantastic. I love that. Do you, we talk at Stellar Girl, we talk about celebrating other women. We talk about women who have supported us and inspired us through our lives. And you've mentioned your mentor. Are there, other than her, has there been many females in your life that you'd like to talk about and share with all of our listeners that have championed you and your efforts and your life now here in the United States?
Absolutely. I can tell that from my experience, women are those who supporting you. As a female, can tell that women were those who were supporting me in the most turbulent moments of my life. So by some reason, often we are raised as competitors. I mean, in the United States it's less, but in Ukraine, for example, like traditionally women, girls are raised as competitors, and we see each other as competitors. And it's so wrong because, for example, the WhiteRibbon was gifted to me as an organization by a female from Poland. Then, for example, right now I'm wearing if you can see, a suit like with little cats here.
Yes. Yes.
And like the cats everywhere, basically. So this is also a women-owned brand called Art Ramos that is designed by a board member and the head of advisory board of WhiteRibbon in Ukraine. Her name is Tatiana Ramos. She has this brand in Monaco, in Italy, and now bringing to the US. So I'm always surrounded by very talented, very powerful, great, amazing women. And together as a team, we are making things happen, because I would never be able to do anything alone on my own. And also, as you know, now we have a first female vice president of the United States, Kamala Harris.
Yes.
So her epic words that I am the first one, but I promise you that I will not be the last one. So this is so true. And on my personal experience, I know how important it is to have women in your team, because together we are stronger.
Yes.
We should not see each other as competitors, but as supporters.
Absolutely. That is our platform. Stellar Girl is a state of mind. It is a movement in a community to do exactly that, to hype each other up, to be there, to be co-elevators, to be co-inspirators. Today you've elevated all of your mentors today. So you've done your fair share of traveling. Obviously the pandemic has changed that tremendously for everybody. Is there somewhere in particular that you miss visiting or that you can't wait to go back to?
Oh my God, your questions are like amazing, because everything that I wanted to talk about, you're basically asking like everything. So I prepared here a little to show you like a little badge. It's actually, you can see, you cannot really see clearly because of the cover. So this is a U.S. Department logo here, as you can see, and WhiteRibbon here. So this is a badge that we produced together with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs for our joint campaign that we launched in 2020. That is called WhiteRibbon VA campaign. So we wanted to launch this campaign publicly, officially, with events in Washington, D.C. And because of pandemic, we couldn't execute our original plan as we wanted. But still, the campaign went really successful, even without no in-person events or gatherings. We had this campaign going in more than, I think, like 18 states. And this year we're gonna have new joint WhiteRibbon campaign with the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, hopefully to cover more states this year. And even we missed a part of the ceremonies, and because we really wanted to make it nationwide and well spread in the U.S. But hopefully that this year will be step closer to our goals. And by the way, I can tell that we work with Leela Jackson, who another great, amazing woman who initiated from the VA side a joint WhiteRibbon VA campaign. So here we go, another woman from the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. Leela Jackson is another great example of female power and female collaboration. So I'm very, very grateful for this.
That is fantastic. So where could myself or all of our viewers pledge the WhiteRibbon campaign? Is there obviously the website?
Yeah. We have a website. It's called whiteribbonyusa.org. And anyone who feels that he wants to support in this way or another can take a pledge online, can leave his or her details on our website. People can donate through our website. There is a list of programs that we want to do this year. One of them, for example, we want to shoot a short film about the Hague Convention and about those refugees, mothers and children who suffer the most from the Hague Convention. Again, it's a legislative imperfection that does not protect domestic violence victims. So there are a lot of amazing programs on our website that people can read about.
We will definitely highlight that when we broadcast the interview, absolutely, on the channel. So you mentioned the film that you are looking into producing, but you did already produce a short film called Reunited.
This is the film that we're working on. So,
okay.
Yeah. So WhiteRibbon is producing this short film, and there is a team of producers, mostly comprised of women. We have also on board a producer, Sheila Shah. She's Iranian. She also experienced gender-based discrimination in Iran, and she actually immigrated with her family to Canada. So this cause is very close to her heart as well. So another powerful female film producer. So we are in a production stage because of due to COVID, the production process was very slowed down, and we are still in the pre-production process of this short film.
And it is very difficult even to travel to Canada. My parents and my entire family still live up there. I haven't seen them for over a year. I'm used to seeing them every 2 or 3 months. So, even to be able to work with your colleagues up in Canada, that must be, you can't, it makes it very difficult to travel just to Canada. You can get to Mexico easier, it seems.
Right. And just in our case, because our head office is in Toronto, but because the WhiteRibbon is decentralized campaign, so we don't actually need to physically travel to Canada. Of course, it's very, very preferable, but at this point, we're so globalized, and the physical borders between countries becoming more and more transparent. So so we in our work don't feel that much the pandemic let's say damage caused by a lack of traveling, but definitely we feel this damage on our level of the US, because we cannot do any public events.
Correct.
We cannot publicly present this campaign, and this is a brand new campaign for the United States. Even it has 30 years of background history in the world, it's still brand new in the US, because if you show a WhiteRibbon somewhere in Texas or even in California, people will not know that it stands against domestic violence.
Where can we get a WhiteRibbon? When we pledge on the website?
We gonna launch that again, this part was in fact affected by a pandemic situation. We planning to open an online store where people can buy this WhiteRibbon badges, and the proceeds will go to the WhiteRibbon USA and to our programs. But because of the logistics issues, we couldn't deliver the whole amount that will be enough for starting the online store, but hopefully we can manage this as well. So very, very soon, within hopefully a few months.
I will check back to make sure that Stellar Girl and all of my female Stellar Girls around me pledge to the website and check you out for sure. So
thank you so much.
Let's get back a little bit about, you were saying earlier about the travel, but do you travel for leisure? Do you get to travel to, is there somewhere you miss to travel for enjoyment or a vacation? Where would you like to go?
The truth, the last time I had vacation was 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm not joking, because I was trapped in such a important workflow, and I really enjoyed doing that, but at the same time it took all my time. So I mean, I was traveling between United States and Ukraine this whole time basically. Okay. So because of pandemic, I basically rest in the United States.
Well, it's beautiful in California where you live, so you can vacation.
No complaints about it. I'm from Ukraine. I get used to a lot of snow, so to cold weather, so I have zero complaints about being constantly in California.
That's fantastic. I love that. So do you do we talk about beauty, we talk about style, we talk about travel, we talk about supporting and championing each other. Let's talk about self-care. Do you have time? You said you work so much. Do you have time to take some self-care? And if so, what does that look like for you?
So I think that for every woman, for every girl, a self-care should be a must nowadays, because we have so much stress around. We have a lot of expectations for ourselves, but we need to understand that respecting our body and doing certain rituals and routine on daily basis, that what keeps us going, right?
Yes.
So I start my day with a glass of water and a bunch of vitamins and supplements. I think it's very important to keep our abilities of our body to deal with stress. So we have like higher chances to deal with stress easier. So then I always, because I work from home a lot now, I keep at home a lot of scented candles that create really nice ambient when you work. And those little details around you create a difference.
And create a sense of calm and peace. And maybe when you look at them, you can take a pause and remember and reflect on all the outstanding work that you are doing for WhiteRibbon. It's absolutely phenomenal, your story. I so appreciate you speaking with all of us today. Do you get to enjoy any holopchi, Veronika, kubasa? Do you miss any of that? Do you miss any of it? I miss it. I do. Do you make it?
Probably we need to explain to audience that borscht is a traditional Ukrainian soup that has a deep purple color because the main ingredient is beets. It's super delicious.
My favorite.
Then vareniki, those are like little dumplings with the potatoes, with cabbages, mushrooms, like even cherries. Then so I actually, there are stores like Russian Ukrainian stores in LA on Santa Monica Boulevard. So I buy pre-made home food there. Unfortunately, I don't have that much time to cook, but I definitely miss that someone will cook it for me.
I miss it too. I miss the kucha. I miss my.
Oh my God, kucha! Yeah.
Yes, that, which is the wheat with the honey and the poppy seeds. But yeah, I do miss all of that from my mom. So wow. Well, I hope you get to Santa Monica Boulevard. There are no Ukrainian stores around me. Unfortunately, I have to make it myself or wait for my mom to come visit.
Right.
Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Veronika. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on. Your work is commendable. Right. I mean, we could go on and on. I know that we didn't even get to touch on, what you're doing now with you're doing some real estate. You work with, affordable housing projects. You're doing so much work. Let's just touch base on that just quickly before we sign off.
So one of the largest issues that California faced recently is homelessness issue that raised enormously during pandemic. And also very often homelessness really borders with domestic violence.
Yes.
So I got myself a real estate license, not to be an agent, but to understand more how I can help low income families, single mothers with kids, not to find themselves on the streets. So I am going for affordable housing now projects, and WhiteRibbon is now having this new direction as a nonprofit real estate developer. So we are not building yet the affordable housing buildings ourselves, but we are actively now looking into affordable housing buildings so we can create more spaces for low income communities to actually have a normal housing opportunities. So that was the initial reason. And I was living in Hollywood, and I moved out from Hollywood because it was dangerous already for me and my son to go in the evening to a grocery store across the street because of huge, enormous amount of homeless people over there. And by recent law in California, if you will be if a homeless person will steal something from you or from your car up to $1,000, they will not be punished for it. And I understand that it's very challenging for governance of California, but we as residents, we suffer from it. So on my personal level, what I can do is to create more living spaces for low-income communities, and especially for single mothers who cannot afford a very expensive rent in California. So that is my motivation to go into affordable housing real estate.
Well, that is another incredible. You have transcended your adversity and have come full circle, and all you're doing is giving back. Your work is all giving back to the communities where you are and to the world with WhiteRibbon. And I pledge to all of our listeners when we air to go visit whiteribbon.org, whiteribbonusa.org, and also look into the VA campaign that's up and coming. And we can find you on Instagram, and we can find you at, as I said, at whiteribbonusa.org. And I really appreciate your time today, Veronika. It was an absolute pleasure virtually meeting you. And thank you so much for inspiring all of our listeners out there.
Thank you so much, Teri. And I wish you the best of luck with this talk show, because I think it's so much needed nowadays to highlight more and more prominent women, and you as a prominent woman yourself and a prominent businesswoman, you're highlighting other women. So great respect to you, and I really appreciate that you invited me to your talk show.
Thank you so much. Do побачення.
До побачення. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to today's episode. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that bell icon to be notified of new episodes. To learn more about the Stellar Girl movement, please visit us at stellargirl.com.